South African author Ntebe Molope says his new book on King Mzilikazi Kamashobane is what he says an African storytelling abyss and an initiation to deep mythology with history combined. Molope is hoping that the lessons derived from this story will invigorate us in charting our way forward. He joins us now in studio to unpack this a little bit more. Yeah, welcome, Ntebe. Thank you very much for your time on a public holiday.
No,
it's good to talk to you. Yeah.
Pleasure is mine.
Why did you decide to write a book about Mzilikazi Kamashobane?
The story of Mzilikazi is a story of which encompasses the history of South Africa, and in fact the history of Southern Africa, because Mzilikazi went way beyond the country into many other countries, in fact 8 all in total, including Mozambique, Swaziland, Lesotho, Zimbabwe, Zambia, and Namibia. So if you tell the history of South Africa and you leave out Mzilikazi, it will be
And yet many of us today hardly speak about him. When you speak about there are few names, there'll be King Shaka, King Mushweshwe, or and even Soshangane here and there. But Mzilikazi Kamashobane sort of is there in the background. But you've made this book, you did a lot of research, I understand.
Correct.
Just to tell the story of how impactful he was.
Absolutely. In fact, incidentally, all those kings that you are mentioning, Mzilikazi in one way or the other had a way that he crossed paths with. He had attacked Botabote in Lesotho when Morena Mushweshwe was there, and he was repelled. But Mushweshwe did something very unusual, in that after he had rolled all the boulders to stop Mzilikazi, he sent men with cattle to give Mzilikazi and said that maybe this man has been driven by hunger. And he gave him cattle and sheep, and Mzilikazi swore not to attack Mushweshwe again. As for Soshangane, Mzilikazi was one of the 3 generals that were part of Zwide's army. Soshangane's name actually is Manukuza, Manukuza Kazikote Kagaza. Which is why the place in Mozambique, in Gaza, is actually named after his grandfather.
There's a province just north of Maputo called Gaza province.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's named after Manukuza's grandfather. After he went through and he's said to have been saying to people as he was attacking, Uzoshaingane. And that's how he got the name Soshangane.
And many people forget that Soshangane was one of the generals of King Shaka.
Absolutely.
He came all the way from Zululand and went up north.
Yes, in fact he was being attacked by King Shaka because he was a general of Zwide Kalanga. So himself together with Zwangendaba were actually repelled by Shaka, and Zwangendaba ended up in Malawi, almost very close to Tanzania. So, which shows you how the explosion of things in KwaZulu-Natal ended up so far off.
That is why today, I mean, just to dive it very quickly, but I just want to talk about the book. That is why today you found some enclaves of people who speak Nguni-sounding languages in northern Mozambique and southern Tanzania. Now it makes sense from what you're just saying.
Correct. In fact, Mtwana Kapindengene, Ubangusuthu Buthelezi, actually did go to Chipata, the place in Malawi. He was taken there by the ex-president Banda. You know, he had come here in South Africa at some stage, and when he told Mangosuthu about the Nguni people who were in Malawi, he didn't believe, and he took him there, and they are still there.
So King Mzilikazi Kamashobane, life intersects across southern Africa. He ends up, though, in what today is called Matebeleland in Zimbabwe and settling in the area of KwaBulawayo.
Correct. I mean, all the places he went through in South Africa, there are a lot of hallmarks to show where Mzilikazi passed. I mean, there's a place here next to RTBS, which is called Zilka's Neck, because the Boers had actually sworn to actually get hold and kill Mzilikazi, and they couldn't get him. That is the place which he called in Dinaneni, after his birthplace in Mkuze. And there's also another one called Silkaskop, because they also wanted Mzilikazi's head still, which is in Northwest.
So you're writing this book at this time in our country, for example, and you are launching it this week, and you're going to travel around the country, I understand?
Correct.
You're also going to end up in Zimbabwe.
Correct.
What are you hoping we South Africans of today would learn and take out of this book?
You know, taking out of the words of John Henry Clark, He says, history is a compass by which people can see their cultural and political time of day. So I would like us to see our time of day in terms of where we are. And there's also an African idiom which says that when a man falls, he does not look at where he's fallen, but he looks at what tripped him. So you look behind you look at the back as to where you have come from that has actually caused you to falter. And so for today, it is a bit of a great pity that history is not taken seriously because, again, as Dr. Benoit Jokanan would say, history is not just a compilation of dates and times and and places. It's actually a recordal of people's emotions and their feelings and what they've gone through, and therefore it is incorrect for anybody, a third party. They will never be able to express those feelings in the same way as the person who has actually felt them firsthand.
So you hope when we read this book today, we'll take something out that will help us in terms of where we are, understanding and the way forward, because there was an intersection between the colonialist and Mzilikazi Kamashobane. Actually, he found his fate in the hands of the British.
No, correct, because Mzilikazi actually, when I listened to what Ubaba Credo Mutwa says, he says that if you look at the history of Shaka never really pushed against the colonials. He says he actually worked with them. He says it's only Dingaan who worked and who actually fought against them. But Mzilikazi was the one who fought against the colonialists. I mean, in 1836 at Verkop, Paul Kruger was still 11 years old then. He attacked them, and he mainly attacked them because they had come into the Transvaal without asking his permission, and he didn't take lightly of that, so he attacked them. And they never rested because of that, And after that, they ran away and went to find solace and rest in a place so far off at Tabanchu.
Yeah, is the book already available on shelves?
The book will be available on shelves as of Friday when we go to the media launch. And in fact, we are working with various distributors, including Amazon, as well as Zara Books, and Take a Lot, so that the book can be generally available.
Yeah, are you hoping it will find its way because of the importance of history? As you said there's an African proverb, when a man falls or when a person falls, he looks behind what tripped him.
Correct.
So we need to be keeping on looking behind how we've become who we've become with all these connections in Southern Africa. Would you hope it will find its place somewhere in the history curriculum of our basic education system?
I most certainly hope so, because I'm actually also encouraged by the level of interest that has come up from Botswana, Lesotho, and Zambia, who are all asking about this. So, I mean, it will be quite an irony if right here in South Africa, where the story is actually being penned, nobody takes
and where the story began.
Absolutely, absolutely,
yeah, no,
because
we wish
the whole lot of history which is in Southern Africa and in Natal in particular has not really been taken to note. Yeah. Especially that of
KZN is rich with history. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you very
absolutely.
much. Thank you very much, and all the best. And thank you for accommodating us on a public holiday and before your launch on Friday. And we wish you well. But we will talk some more. I'm sure we'll find opportunities to unpack some more. If you look at how Europeans and the rest of the world does, even Chinese, how they value their heritage and history, and how it shapes how they think today, and they look forward, we can learn a thing or two from those cultures as well. Thank you very much for your time.
I appreciate it.
That's author Ntebe Molope on his new book, Mzilikazi Kamashobane, King Mzilikazi Kamashobane. Fascinating story. I can't wait to lay my hands on a copy of that book and read about our past and how it can inform us, helping us today and for tomorrow.